is going to be, if the market goes green to red, right? Yeah, after yesterday's big dump, which was a little bit kind of came out of nowhere. Not came out of nowhere, right? Obviously, we've been extended, but, definitely not something that everybody was expecting just because the market's been so strong. I was just talking about this with our mentorship group, that, when you start to see like your MAs start to roll over like that and you start kind of filling the gap, you may have to change your bias or wait things out for a short period of time just because the market is not going to be giving you very many bullish setups, at least on kind of non-gapper stocks. So just kind of peep that out. Like if you start to see, right, like a gap not hold and then you start fading off into the pops at the VWAP, that's when, thanks Robbie, appreciate you. That's when you want to start to look for at least to lay off the longs a little bit or maybe even press some shorts. I know RCC was calling the TVIX in the chat room, and I've been anti-TVIX lately because it's just been such a dud, but, probably would have gave you at least a couple hour little play. We'll see what's going on with this. We don't know how the market's going to go. The one thing that shows the market's really strong, though, is that we did just pull back to our support levels and then had a really nice, not a really nice bounce, but a strong bounce into the close, which is kind of what you want to see when you're looking at these plays, is does the market actually hold support? And so right now, if you're thinking about the structure of the market and the underlying theme, after the bounce yesterday, we basically just finished pretty much flat, right? We kind of got back to the gap fill area. So it didn't end up being like, this terrible, terrible morning, a terrible day, as long as you were able to be nimble, right? In terms of short, long, so on and so forth. Today, what we need to do is really watch, like, okay, can we hold this 174? Do we go green to red? Or do we start to pop and start taking out some levels and get that thing going? That's going to be really, really important, when we're going through this stuff. Be mindful of the boogeyman, right? We don't know if the market's when the market's going to roll over, but, watch these MAs here. If we start getting a second day of pullback, then, we definitely have to be more defensive, but we still have tons of room down to these lows. So, even if the market was like Ganar in the morning, you still got this old low as support. So that's going to be, something that we've got to keep an eye on. Yeah, crypto is super hot today too. They tend to do that. It pops for 2-3 days, then it rests for a week, then it pops for 2-3 days. Crypto is much better for swing trading than day trading. At least I do mostly swing trading in it. But definitely got to load up a few of these. Let's talk about some gappers today. This JMU might be in play, but it looks like it's already fading off pre-markets. I'd probably take this off the list. When I see a small cap stock like this start to run, you really want to see a pre-market kind of build and hold. You don't want it to kind of fade back like $1.20 pre-market. So that one's going to be a little bit so-so. You may keep it on your list, but I wouldn't make that a focus. C-Trip actually looks pretty good. You're breaking over the 200-day moving average. This one's not like a huge volatile name, but it should have some juice. It doesn't move as well as IQ or Huya, but it'll definitely probably be a little bit more steady with less shakeouts. As you guys probably know, when you trade Huya, that thing is shakeout city sometimes. With Huya, you're already fading back the gap a little bit here, so I'm a little bit mindful. Like, I don't know how... Normally, if I saw a gapper like this, I'd want it to kind of break out over that flag so that you have like a nice clean breakout. When you think about gapper plays, right? When you want, like a stock has earnings, you want it to start clearing some levels. Otherwise, what happens is it just gaps and craps, right? Anybody see a gap that just, right, takes a big blunkin all over you? That usually happens if you just pop mid-range. So I would only be interested in this one if it starts getting like over 26-ish. 26, 25, 26.50, at 25.80, I wouldn't be taking any patterns in it. When you think about an intraday pattern, you have to align it with the daily. So the daily level over here is like 26, let's just call that 26.50 for mathematical purposes, right? So I would only take an ORB or some type of pattern if it was breaking and holding over that. If it's not, then that's not my, that's not going to be my play. This WB, now you're getting a mixed bag in some of these Chinese stocks. Some of them are going up, and then some of them are getting flushed down. This WB's got sick range, but it's got a couple caveats to it. Unless it really kind of breaks under this 20 SMA here at like 67, you won't have this kind of room to fall. Like if you try to short it here at 68, then it's just going to pop into its support, and you're going to have like much more of a choppy stock, right? If you ever see like on the earnings play when they start acting really choppy, a lot of times it's because they're running into a supplier demand zone on the daily chart, and then everybody's just left kind of with a big circle jerk. Add a couple of these stocks to the list. This ZTO, this one is really sexy. You had 7 million shares volume yesterday. You had a really nice break into the close. It should have some good range on it. This one looks to me like it's kind of going to try to approach these IPO highs, which is around 2250. PDD, which is going to be another one. This is also, I believe, a Chinese stock. It's got to be, right? Pinduoduo, that don't sound very American. Maybe it's got to be Chinese. Well, whether it's Chinese or not, we're going to think of it as a Chinese stock. This one's got some heat too. So you got a break of IPO highs yesterday. You also had relative strength. Remember that the market was getting smoked yesterday, and while the market was getting smoked, what was this thing doing? It was blowing rails, right? It was going. So this has relative strength. You have an IPO stock, right? IPOs have been hot this past year. You have a breakout on the daily. And this one also has like pretty good volume and stuff. Like it's going to have the liquidity you need to get in and out and get, a little bit of size in this thing and play it for a little fun time. So those are going to be the two new additions from the watch list that we had yesterday. One thing also is like a lot of the stocks that we had on the watch list yesterday, even though they had nasty days, they just pulled right back down to support. They didn't necessarily break support. So like when you're making your watch list and you're kind of like adding new names and then taking off old names, right? And that gets a little bit confusing when you're like going through so many stocks. I don't take them off my watch list unless they start to break under support. So like if I had a stock on the watch list because it broke out, if it comes in, retests it, that's not going to be something where I'm going to just take it off the watch list. So like a lot of these had like some down days yesterday, but see how they held support. So we're going to keep those on the list till they break. So see like Labu, same thing. It's just a retest of the old breakout. So these are still on our watch list. And stuff like Labu, sometimes they can be played both ways just because of the range on it. If you've got an ETF that you're watching that's got like $7, $8 range, you'll be able to shred that thing back and forth. If the market starts to do, like a rip and ride, slip and slide, or some type of shake and bake, or a dipsy-do dunkaroo. I'm just making shit up now, but you know what I mean. That sounded pretty cool, though. Man, I gotta change the name of some of her patterns. The dipsy-do dunkaroo sounds nice. ASND, monster push into the close. This thing was sitting around, and it was tricky bastard too, because it broke under the VWAP, kind of flushed everybody out, and then it remounted this sucker, and it ended up popping like $15, $16. That's an awesome range. It was $51 yesterday. I think that you keep this one on. You keep this one on the list. Be mindful of the spread, and I wouldn't be surprised if it retraced a little bit today, but I think this one we got to keep on the list for the next couple days. Dun, 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 dun. And then add this one more stock. So this EMDP got smoked yesterday. If this thing pops up a little bit, I would say to maybe close to 950. If it pops up close to 950, watch for the green to red. Let it pop into 950, 975. And then if you start to roll it back over and you go green to red, that's when you're going to hit this thing for a potential short. You could get a day two on this. You had a big volume spike yesterday. Pretty good range. I think this one's going to have just enough juice. Good. All right, it's Tuesday. You know what we got to do? Let's go have a little fun. Market's still got some pretty good range. So one thing to remember is like if you're seeing cryptos pop this morning. So, if cryptos get too wild, you definitely can trade like Riot and stuff like that. A lot of those are showing some decent charts, all right? So always keep that on the kind of your back of your list. All right? Peace, peoples. Let's go do what we do.